In this video, I'm going to go over how contracts work within ProjectTeam.com. I'm starting off here in the contract log. I can see that I have two contracts, a contract number, organization name, contract type, the contract amounts, any approved change orders. So we're also going to go through how to create a potential change order, escalate that to a change order, and then how that affects my contract. Revise contract value, which is going to take into account the change orders for that contract, and then some default log information like who created each of these forms and then when they were created on. For now, let's go into this first contract, the prime contract. If I click into there, I see that I have a bunch of tabs on the top of my screen, but if I scroll a little bit, I see that I have a subject, contract number, contract date, some general contract information. Again, I could always go in here and add custom fields to be able to add any other information that I want to track about this contract. But by default, these are the fields that come out of the box. Underneath of the default fields, I do have a schedule of values table. I could go in here and add in whatever I want to this schedule of values just by clicking the edit button, then scrolling down and saying that I want to add a new schedule of value. It's going to give me the opportunity to create whatever I want in here, and then that will get added to my contract. I can do all of this because I have not marked this contract as final yet. Once I mark it as final, it's going to say, are you sure you want to mark this as final? Once you do, users will no longer be able to edit that information. So for now, I'm going to say no, just so I am able to edit, but I'll save it and get out of edit mode. And now I can see all of that information is kind of updated if I were making any changes. Now that we have our contract, the general tab at least done, let me go over to the drawings. Here I can state which drawings from my system, which would be added in the drawings area, are part of my contract. Similar to drawings, I have the specifications. I could go in here and add specifications. Let's actually do that. So if I have these specifications, maybe there's a few more that I want to add into this contract to make sure that they are noted. I'll say I want to edit this. It's going to bring me back to my specifications tab. Add a new specification, and then here are other specifications that are available to me that haven't already been put on my contract. So maybe just I'll add all of these because this is maybe a big contract. And then all of these are added, and I can save it if I needed to. For now, let's go into the inclusions, exclusions. I can go in and add in any inclusions, exclusions, or alternates if I wanted to. For now, I'll leave that blank. Contract exhibits, I could go in and add contract exhibits. Right now I don't have any set up, but if I did, I could pull those into my contract. And then one of the nice things is if I were to create a merge template from this contract, I could also print along with the contract any exhibits that I have. So that would all be in one nice PDF or Word document if you wanted to do it that way. And then the last tab is my change orders tab. Here I can see that I have one change light fixtures change order for $34,000. That is showing me that I have a total change order amount of $34,000 because I just have that single change order included in this contract right now. That $34,000 is the same if I were to go over to the general tab and scroll down. I can see that this approved change orders is showing me that $34,000. So this field and that log on this tab are kind of linked together. As you add change orders, which are going to affect the contract, this approved change orders field is going to get updated. Let's go ahead and save this form. And then I actually want to take you through the process of creating a directive, then creating a PCO or a potential change order, escalating that to a change order, and then marking that change order as approved, which is then going to affect my contract. I will say you don't need to go through all those steps. If your company doesn't go through the steps of creating a directive and then a PCO and then a change order, you could start at any one of those and it'll end up the same. So I could just jump right to creating change orders to affect my contract. That would be fine. But we do have the extra forms in there. So if you wanted to go through the full process, you're able to do that. In this change orders area, the first thing I want to do is create a directive. I don't have any directives set up right now, but let's go add a new one. I can say I'm going to click add new. The directive that I want to add is going to be replacing the light fixtures. It's going to be something similar to the change order that we might already have, but maybe there's something wrong with some other light fixtures on the project, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to say replace light fixtures. This is my first directive, so right now I'm just going to say 001. I could make that an auto-populating number if I wanted to, but right now it's just a single line text. So I'll say 001. The date of that is going to be today's date, and then the type is going to be a change directive for pricing only. I'll save that. Now, if I wanted to, I could go ahead and share this out to anybody else on my project. So maybe I send it to Dave and Patrick. They'll get this directive. They can, maybe I want to share this to somebody else outside of my own company. Right now, nobody else is on my project, so I just shared it to a couple people within my company. They can make some decisions on that and then decide if they want to approve that or not. Once it does get approved, I can go over to my PCO area. I'll just add a new PCO. It's going to say, just similar to my directive form, what's the subject of this potential change order. I'll just say replacing light fixtures. It's going to ask me for the PCO number. Again, this can be any type of field that you want. Right now I just have it as single line text, so I'll just say replace 001, which would be my PCO number. The contract reference, I'm going to reference my prime contract. So if I click this choose button, I get a list of different contracts I have set up on my project. I'll just choose the prime contract, and then it's going to ask me which directive I want to reference. We want to reference that replace light fixtures directive that I just created. So I'll click on that, say choose, and that's all good to go. Now if I scroll down, I can see that I have an item breakdown area. If I click on this button, it gives me a list of different fields that I can add to this potential change order. I'll just say light materials. Maybe that's by a company called Zaps Electric. The estimated revenue, what do you expect to be getting in revenue for this change? So I'll just say 30,000 maybe. The proposed revenue, what did you propose to another party? Maybe I proposed 40,000, hoping to get a little bit more. And then we came to an agreement maybe at about 31,000. The proposed cost, what do I think this is going to cost me? So what is this change going to cost me and my company? Maybe I can say this might cost 25,000. The approved cost, after I do some negotiating, I might have got it down to $24,500. Estimated days, maybe I said 3, 2, and 2. You probably wouldn't do this all in one pass. You'd kind of do some negotiating and getting these numbers just right before you actually went. But for purposes of this demo, I just kind of went in and did all that just in one, just so I can add that. If I click the add new button, the values that I just put in there will get added to the table. You could see that the values for the fields here are reading from the table, the totals of the table, they automatically got updated. And let me just do one more. So I'll just say fixture labor, or let's say light fixture labor. Again, that might be done by this company called Zaps Electric, or or whatever else I want to put in here. And then that might be something like, this is 25,000, this is 21, proposed cost is 19, and then 19, that's the same. Estimated days, we just say it takes 3 days to put in these light fixtures. Then I'll add the item breakdowns. Now these are showing up in my table here, and I could go ahead and save this. But what I really want to do is, for the purposes of this demo, is show you that if you click this approved box on this PCO, it's going to give you a little confirmation window saying, are you sure you want to approve this? Once approved, it will be eligible to be turned into a change order. Also, users will no longer be able to edit this PCO. I'll say yes, because that is what I want to do, and then save. Once saved, now I can see I have this create CO lightning button here. So that's a quick way to create a brand new change order from this existing PCO. I'll click that, and then my change order is shown, is created, and I can click into the change detail tab, and I can see the information from my PCO is now getting added to my change order. I could also go in and manually add anything else, so I'll just say another change. Maybe that was for 10,000, and the approved days was 5, something like that. Now I have all of that information in my change detail of the change order. I can go back to the general tab. I can fill in all this other information if I needed to. My change order number is going to pre-populate based on the contract that this change order is getting created from. Maybe the organization, I can put it whatever I want, the description, all this stuff I can kind of just, maybe this is 5 days. The substantial complete date is whatever, executed date, I'll leave that blank for now. Again, I could save this. Now I've gone through, I've created a directive, I've made a PCO from that directive, and then I've escalated that PCO into a change order. For now, just to show you really quickly, if I go to my contract, that prime contract, I look at the approved change orders and it was the same as before, just the 34,000. If I go over to the change orders tab, I can see that there's just the change light fixtures CO001 for the $34,000. The replace light fixtures, the second change that I've done, has not been updated into my contract yet because my change order has not been approved. So now let's go back to the change order, approve the change order, and then see what it does to my contract. I'll click into the change orders dropdown again, click onto change orders, go to my replacing light fixtures change order, edit this thing, scroll down, click the approve box. This time it's going to say, are you sure you want to approve this change order? Once approved, it will automatically be added to the contract in the change orders tab. So I'll say yes, save that. Now that I have an approved change order, I can see that my edit button does no longer exist. And that's because if I go to my contract and go into the prime contract here, I can see that my new approved change orders is 96, okay? So that's taking into account everything that's in this change orders tab, which is the change light fixtures and then the replace light fixtures. For whatever reason, I have two change orders against that light fixtures item, but those things are now reflected in my contract. So that was a quick overview of kind of creating a contract and then going through the change process. If you have any questions or want me to go more in depth about anything in regards to contracts, change orders, PCOs, or really anything else within ProjectTeam.com, feel free to give us a call at 703-961-1007. Thanks.